Hey, it's Vanessa, and welcome to this special video where I'm going to share with you my energy read for the decade 2020 to 2030. And the reason I felt called to put this video together for you is I was reflecting on 2020 and 2021, and I was noticing certain themes coming up. And themes meaning from an energetic perspective, of course, despite all of the sort of larger shifting of events that are going on. When you look at things from an energetic perspective, you're looking at really what's underneath the surface. So while things may appear to be one way, when you check the energy, it's more reflective of like, what are the driving forces here? What's really going on underneath the surface? And when you have that kind of information, it makes it really honestly a lot easier to know how to navigate what's in front of you, because so often we see what's being presented to us, whether it's by another person or by the media or whatever it is, and it evokes an emotional response in us. It evokes all sorts of thoughts and all sorts of thoughts and feelings. But if you hold off for just a moment and you check the energy, it really helps you automatically like get in alignment with your intuition. And your intuition, as you know, is like it's your compass. It is like the decider of your truth and what is best for you and how to navigate your life in the larger context of all of these pieces shifting around. And so I wanted to offer this up to you as a way to not only give you, my read of the energy over this next decade and a kind of like a year by year breakdown, because again, when when you get a sense of what's going on energetically and you know how to work with it, right? You know how to best prepare, you know how to best show up, you know, and respond to whatever is presenting. So that is partial intention, and the other intention really is to activate your own read of the energy, activate your own um, guidance system to become louder and more clear for you, because it really is, the way to be leading your life is through your own intuition of what's going to be right for your system and your life path and whatever it is that you choose to do. Um, and so when I share an energy read, whether it's actually me or another person that talks about energy and you trust their information, it feels like aligned with your own sense, and it's a good frequency match, good kind of vibe match. What that does is when you expose yourself to other energetic information from people that you really trust their read, it opens up your ability to read the energy too. You match up. Essentially you match up to what they're doing, and to be able to read energetically it is a higher frequency game, right? Which is a totally other topic that I'd be happy to get into at another video. This video, though, again, is more to focus on what I see as having a lot of energetic potential around it, like an energy kind of pocket or theme or bubble around these particular years. It is not a prediction, and I'm not going to be talking about any possible events or things of that nature. So if that's the kind of video that you're looking for, then, look elsewhere. I don't predict the future because we create it. And the more equipped we are to be in tune with our own energy read and our own intuition, the better we can create the future. Thus, this video. All right. So what I'm going to do is just go down for each of these years from 2020 to 2030 and share with you what came through for me as I was looking at it from an energetic perspective. So 2020, the theme that I was getting was arrival. Arrival. This sense of arriving. I remember back in that year, even before, any of the things happened, actually a couple months before 2020 hit, there was this sense of like finally arriving, like finally reaching this particular peak. And I remember I had to go through my own yeah, physical and energetic recalibration and my own upgrade at the end of 2019. And we could see that many people were going through their own different recalibrations and upgrades, whether it was through, what was going on that year, however you would like to call that, and or through their own personal changes and how they assessed what was happening. But there was this sense of arrival, like we are here. I remember thinking actually that um how how good it felt to get to 2020. There was just this very sort of jubilant kind of feeling, and that may not be your reference point for 2020. And of course, there was so much going on that global scale. But from an energetic perspective, I got that we arrived uh, as a species energetically. It was we reached this different stage of evolution, and being shown what was possible, again energetically. So before things take place on the physical level, they take place on the energetic level. And so when you're tuned into the energy, you can kind of have a sense of what's to come. And so as the year went on, obviously there were different themes that showed up. And but my sense just kept going back to, even though the show appeared to kind of slow things down, right? We all sort of collectively remember what was going on in 2020. Even though there appeared to be like a slowing down, um yeah, I could not shake the feeling and the sense and the read that there was like a beautiful, blessed arrival of humanity in 2020. And what an empowering way to think of the entrance point into this decade as an arrival, as we are here and we meet this moment. It gives a different kind of twist to the larger picture that was unfolding that year, right? So that was 2020 arrival. Now, 2021, the theme that I was getting, like, so I'm looking at, like, yeah, obviously I'm looking at the energy, but I'm looking at like what is the reoccurring undercurrent despite all the shifts and changes on the physical plane of reality. And so 2021, the theme was reorientation, reorientation. And so it felt like, kind of like, have you ever been in a car where, I remember when I was first driving, you'd mix up the gas pedal and the brake pedal. And so there's that lurching where it's like the stop, start. Like you start to go on the gas and then the brakes go on all of a sudden. So you feel kind of like jerked around. I remember that feeling when I was first learning how to drive. And so it's this thing of like, we're at a green light, no, we're at a red light, no, we're at a green light, no, we're at a red light. And so there was this real, like a reorientation that had to keep happening over and over again. Reorientation, reorientation, reorientation. So it's like we're coming off this high, energetically speaking, of 2020. We have arrived. Like, oh, feels good. We have arrived. Okay, there's some strange things happening out in the world that doesn't really match with this energy feeling that I'm feeling. And then 2021 was, there's this reorientation, and we really got a chance to look at the themes in our own life around, control, freedom, compliance, and how that plays out in our own psyche with our own selves, right? We all, despite the stage of the world and what was requested of its people, we have our own sense of like, where do we stop ourselves? Where do we keep ourselves from experiencing freedom in our lives? And where do we, say yes, where do we comply where we may or may not want to. And so it really gave us a deeper examination of how we operate in the world, and what needs to be reoriented. So that was 2021. And then 2022, here we are, we're halfway through the year at this point, and the theme that's coming through really strongly, uh, as I keep checking in about it and the energy of this year, because this year's been like, yeah, very different, um, is I keep getting roots, 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 and embodiment. So it's sort of like as your roots sink deeper, like as you become more, yeah, deeply connected, like on a real core level with what is important to you, what you stand for, what your values are, what you're here on the planet for, what your purpose is, what your vision is. It's like all of these bigger questions, all of these sort of deeper reflections, what they do is they extend your roots not only down, but your roots can be extended out. Can you see that? Like they extend out from you. So we are rooted. It is an uh, an energetic expression. Roots are an energetic expression that don't just happen from, the waist or the feet down. They actually extend out in connection to other people and to, source energy or the universal energy above, God. And so 20 and as you get your roots, you get your embodiment. You get this sense of really feeling safe and comfortable and trusting of your own body, of your own experience. And that's been the flavor of 2022. Now, all of these themes that were coming through, when I kind of check the energy of it, they are all going to kind of recycle each other a bit, throughout this decade. We're going to get to revisit them over and over again, and they will all serve each other, right? They're not necessarily, it's kind of like they are in sequence, and they're not, right? So that's the paradox of life. It's always both and so 2022 was roots, and it's sort of like, even though there's still a little bit of that sensation that we had in 2022 of the sort of, or 2021 of the sort of like start, stop, the door's open, no, it's closed, the door's open, no, it's closed. Like there's still that flavor going on a little bit. And if you're just living on the surface, you're like, when are things going to go back to normal? It's like, good luck with that. Um, so the difference though between last year 2021 is we're sort of reorienting to that, jerky back and forth kind of energy, and in 2022 it's really about who do you need to be to stand very clearly and be in your own power as the door kind of opens and closes and opens and closes. So it's like you're not as knocked over by the external shifting of circumstances or whatever like fear storyline is currently at play on the world stage. So that was what 2022 looks like about. And then 2023, there is a theme, an energetic theme of being, what I heard was fiercely unshakable, fiercely unshakable. And so I just kept getting these images of, like, say you're in a room and the door is locked and you can't get out, that you find a way to break the wall or break the window, or you find a way out, you find your way out. And so if there's any sort of feeling that you've had prior to 2023 of being stuck, or feeling like you haven't quite moved your life in the direction that you have wanted to, um, 2023 looks like the year that you just like you break the wall down. You are done. It is done. you are going forward. Like there is going to be no holding back of the individual soul that is wanting to get out of that locked room. And so yeah, this whole sort of like dig the hole, rip the doors open, break the window, get out. um Fiercely unshakable 2023. So, however that may show up for you, maybe an interesting year. Maybe you finally start that garden. It could be as mellow as like you finally committing to making that garden and like creating your own food supply or something like that. Or it could be changing careers. It could look like a number of different things. You get to decide what that looks like for you. Moving on to 2024. Um, the theme that was coming through around that was focus. Was it just was like focus, and that it was not um it was kind of like keeping the focus and building the vision despite the polarity. So you still may feel that push pull externally, but the push pull tension within yourself will have subsided greatly due to the energetic themes of the prior years, right? So the years that we just went over, of arriving, reorientation, roots and embodiment, and fiercely unshakable. So you get to 2024 and you can finally focus. You can like really focus on whatever it is, the task at hand, despite whatever polarities are playing out in the scene or in your life or in the world at large. 2025, the theme came through as it was like this. It was like kind of clearing the riffraff. Like if there's any sort of, it's kind of like just clear it out. So it's sort of like we go through our lives and we allow things to happen that we might not like, or we allow people to talk to us in certain ways, or we allow ourselves to compromise on our own self-care when we know that's not the best thing for us, or whatever it is. We basically leak our own power. And so in 2025, there's just a real firm stance of like not doing that anymore, not willing to compromise your own sense of power and path and purpose, and just clearing all the riffraff. So there's like a lot of boundary setting. It looks like it's going to happen. It also came through that in certain areas, maybe on the planet a little more so, that it's going to be important to know your rights, know your rights as a sovereign human being, as like common law, like your rights. And so just plant a seed now to get familiar with like what your rights actually are, and to connect with other people who are aware of what their rights are. There's yeah, just holding this the space and the stance like a firm and loving parent. um so there's part of me that's like a little uneasy as I say that, but there's and that is sort of like the blessing and the challenge of this particular decade is we are given more power, like spiritually and energetically given more power, um, and with that comes a responsibility to be tuned in, to make those wise healthy choices as an investment in yourself and as an investment in the kind of future that you want to live in. And so it's going to be an exciting we just in some ways got started, believe it or not. Um, so so that was 2025. When I tuned into 2026, interestingly, the theme I got was hazy. Like it just looked kind of hazy. Um, yeah. So again, however you interpret that, what I would encourage you to do is, in sharing of these themes with you, it's always good to like have a notebook handy and write down what comes through you and your impressions. I am you know, a firm believer, just knower, this is just my own intuitive read, is that all of us that are here right now knew the very time that we chose to incarnate into. We knew what our roles were here. And so um you know, don't be so surprised when like it gets a little crazy, and to really anchor into the truth of who you are, the strength of who you are, what it is that you're here to do, who it is that you're here to be, and you know, try and like ride the wave as best as you can, not in hopes that it will end soon, but with you know, with kind of the combination of letting grace carry you and yeah, living in alignment with your design and of who you're here to be and what you're here to do. So 2026, kind of, yeah, a little bit hazy. It just feels hazy. Well, I don't know what that means in terms of all the systems and what, you know, politics, healthcare, economy, environment, you know, I don't know how that's going to all shake down exactly. I think there's going to be some amazing, incredible, beautiful things happening in the future. And that's the good old Aquarian energy that we want to continue to hold as the vision. And with breakthroughs, there's also breakdowns, you know, like usually the breakdowns tends to happen first and then the breakthrough comes after, but hey, we're not necessarily living in a cause and effect world sometimes. So there's both, right? We hold the space for both. So 2026, what you need to know is like, keep doing your thing. Just keep doing your thing. Just like if it looks a little hazy, it looks a little crazy, it looks a little whatever, just keep doing your thing in alignment with your design, what it is you're here to do, kind of keep connecting with your people. Just keep on keeping on. 2026. So you know this, right? We got 4 years at this point until we get to that point. And again, don't take anything that I'm saying to mean anything necessarily disastrous. It could be amazing. It just sometimes when we're in the build of something really incredible and something really like potent and transformative, um, sometimes the beginning of that process can feel hazy, right? We might not feel as clear, but something amazing is being created. So don't assume I'm talking like terrible things are going to happen, or you know, it's always good or it's always bad. It's usually always both. Okay, moving on to 2027. The theme that I got was definitive split. Definitive split. Again, I didn't get a ton of information around what that meant specifically, but what that translated to is really making it clear what you are and are not available for. Um, you know, kind of releasing anything that just doesn't align with you anymore, including your beliefs, your relationships, your work, like your choices and behavior, like whatever it is, just release it. So we humans, we tend to have this tendency to like to process things, and sometimes we sort of stay in this like hazy processing of things, and really sometimes you just gotta just let shit go. You just gotta let go. And so that's what 2027 looks like. Definitive split. Just let it go. Just be done with it. Just move on. Like, don't get stuck in analysis paralysis. Just really, truly let it go. And then 2028 presented as the theme was as a relief, like as a deep breath, as a like, like a good kind of tired, like a good kind of tired, like, oh. So it's interesting because it kind of brings back, it harkens back to this like the arrival feeling of 2020, or even the reorientation. Like once you're reoriented, there is this sort of relief energy to it, of 2021, or your roots and your embodiment of 2022. It's just like, when you have that, there's such relief. So it's sort of like the culmination and the integration of all the years prior. It's like, wow, we've lived through many lifetimes in this decade so far. And so that's the kind of vibe I'm getting for 2028, is just this relief. Okay, so for 2029, interestingly, I got um, prayer, to pray. And let me take a sip. Um, and so, again, this can be taken in either direction, but the simple act of praying, it restores your faith. It helps you feel connected to God. It helps you um, feel more driven by your larger, purpose and your vision and your mission in the world. um, it helps you step out of the drama. It lifts you. And there's also, I think, with the word prayer, there's this deeper kind of reverence. There's this um, yeah, there's like this like bowing to the altar of life. This just prayer. And so there's like this whole sort of level of like gratitude and deep appreciation associated with prayer, as well as sometimes the way we may more typically think of prayer, which is like, please God help. There may be some of that too. And so um, the other sort of energies around 2029 was just like, allow yourself to observe, to not get swept up by any fears, um, be very discerning. What appears to be truth may not. What appears to not be truth may. um, and to use prayer to help you with your discernment, to help you with your energy read, to help you be led by intuition, to help you make space for grace. Um, yeah, so that's what I get for 2029. And then 2030, they presented as this like, wow, we are in a very different world. Again, I'm not going to say whether that's good or bad. It's likely probably both, depending on where you're orienting from and what's happening. And so the question that's coming through with that is, um, am I pleased with what I've created? Am I pleased with what I've created? And so there is your world and there is the world. And what you create for your world has quite a big impact on what you create for the world. They are reflections of each other. And so, given that that is 8 years from now, evaluate your choices now. Given that you have these potential energy undercurrents and themes laid out for the decade, ask yourself how you can begin implementing them into your life now. So you can stand at 2030 and you say, I am pleased. I am pleased that this is what I have actively, consciously participated in creating. I am pleased that this is what I'm going to be gifting as my legacy to my children, to all the children, to the animals, to the earth itself. I am pleased. And so this is a very empowering way to work with energy, is by looking at these themes, kind of dipping into these, the layout of the future itself, and choosing how you're going to participate. choosing to use these themes to live from a place of empowerment and alchemize what is being presented in a way that's going to optimize the situation. Whoop. That's what happens when you optimize. Your computer shakes. It just jumps frequency um, to optimize life for all on this planet. So with that, thanks so much for watching. Actually didn't say it, but if this is your jam, subscribe, like it, give me a like. That's really nice. I super appreciate it. I enjoy making the videos anyhow, and it's really nice for me to communicate with you in this way, and I appreciate when you watch it. So, give some love in the comments, give a little like, share it with your friends, do all that good social media stuff. And the more we can just put out that energy in the world, you know, it just feels good. It feels good to me to receive it, and it feels good for you to do it. So with that, I'm going to say thanks so much for watching, and I will talk with you again soon.